Welcome back to Bird's Eye View. When it comes to the Orioles, this weekly podcast is your official source for a lack of insight and for baseless opinion. Today is the 4th of September, 2025, and this is episode 416. My name is Jake English.
And I'm Scott Magnus.
And on this week's show, we'll dig into our feels about some returning Orioles.
We'll also dig further into our feels about some Orioles we wish would leave.
That's right, and we'll do all that right after we lubricate the show. It's time for the drink of the week. Scotty, what are you drinking this evening?
Jake, it's a little bit colder outside, a little bit crisper. We are in fake fall.
Don't you dare say pumpkin.
Jake, we're drinking a Paulaner Salvatore Doppelbock this evening.
Okay, I approve.
Yeah.
Scotty, I am drinking a very boring Michelob Ultra, but I do want to tell a tale.
Because the Michelob Ultra is all seasons long.
It is. There is no off season. But I do want to tell a tale.
Thanksgiving, Michelob Ultra. Christmas, Michelob Ultra. Easter, Michelob Ultra.
I like to class things up.
Yeah. Well,
I went out to a bar and I was trying to decide between a grapefruit crush and a gin and tonic. And the bartender said, "How do you feel about elderflower liqueur?" And I said, "Yeah, I love that in my gin and tonics." And she said, "No, I was actually thinking about the grapefruit." And so, I don't know, maybe it's called a Frenchie or what have you, but I was introduced to the joys of elderberry liqueur and grapefruit juice.
Now, was this a male or a female bartender?
It was a female bartender.
So she was flirting with you?
No, I don't think you understand how this works.
Oh, okay. If it was a male bartender,
absolutely would have been flirting with me.
He would have showed you his elderflower.
Yikes. If you'd like to see what we are elderflowering on a day-to-day, inning-by-inning, pitch-by-pitch basis, you can find us over on Untapped. I'm at Jake E4025.
And I'm blossoming at MAGN 8606.
It's getting awfully O'Keefe in here. And with that, let's check in and see how the injuries are going.
It's just flowers, right?
Time for your checkup. Time for your checkup. I'm gonna check your ears, check your eyes, find out how much you've grown. Time for your checkup. Gonna listen to your heartbeat, fix you up, ready to go. Time for your checkup. It's okay if you giggle. This will only tickle a little. Time for your checkup. Time for your checkup.
All right, let's dig into this. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people dead at this point in the medical wing, so we're not going to cover them. But Adley Rutschman, who's been on the IL now for some time, there is a rumor that he is expecting back by mid-September. Maybe he'll get in, 6 to 10 games. You buying this?
No. 1,000% not.
How does this make any sense?
There is no value to anyone.
Like, why would you rush him back? Why are you not just saying, Adley, we appreciate it. We're shutting you down. You're going to have the whole offseason to get ready. There is no... What is the benefit for him to see 6 to 10 games at the end of the season?
There's no benefit to anyone at any time for any reason.
And I love Adley.
Yeah, no.
All this ridiculousness out there being like, well, the Orioles are going to trade Adley for starting pitching. No, that's not going to happen. Adley Rutschman is going to be a Baltimore Oriole next year, along with Samuel Basallo. I just don't understand why you would even give consideration to rushing him back.
Yeah. Jordan Westberg is on the 10-day IL. And I think the last time you and I were together, it's possible that they had not yet made the decision that he had to go to the IL.
That is correct. I think we had made the joke, it's day-to-day, but it means it's probably going to the IL. And lo and behold, it was an IL visit.
Now, he's expected to make a rehab assignment sometime in this next week. Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a note here that Ryan Noda was hurt.
Did you have a Noda on a Noda?
I missed it. That was a complete... I blew it.
Yeah.
I Scott blew at it. But I don't care about Ryan Noda, so I'm not going to bother to look up what happened to him.
Tyler's on the 40-man still, I think.
Tyler O'Neill, with whatever's wrong with him right now, Scott, I did not even look. I did not even look to know what is wrong with him at this moment.
So, point of order.
Sure.
We're obviously starting to prepare mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, for the 2026 season. Point of order for the 2026 podcast season. Can we get a giant wheel? And can we just spin the wheel when we get to the injury, the medical wing?
For what's wrong with Tyler?
Or what's wrong with Tyler O'Neill? And we can even have music like, what's wrong with Tyler O'Neill this week? Click, 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 click. Ooh, sore wrist.
Can this be the Tyler O'Neill medical wing?
Is it the Tyler O'Neill watch?
You washed that out of your mouth. Tyler O'Neill will be progressing to all baseball activities this weekend before beginning a rehab assignment next week. I have no idea.
What is this verbiage that we're using?
I got this from the worldwide leader in sports. I have no
Good job, Disney.
I have no idea what all baseball activities means for Tyler O'Neill because I'm pretty sure that his baseball activities include sitting, eating sunflower seeds, and that's it.
I'm not even sure if it includes sitting, honestly. That probably hurts him as well. Oh,
As a fan of a certain age, I get it.
I
but
get it.
I want him, a actual baseball player who we are paying money to be better.
I think everybody else we've talked about of being dead at this
Yes.
point. So yeah, I think that's it for the medical wing.
And later on,
Jorge Mateo's coming back.
we'll get to talk about some of the folks that are with us again.
Oh,
I'm excited about it.
Look at that. All right, 280 characters or less.
Let's do it. I would like to start and ask Scott, what in the anger management? There were so many skeets out there. I'm going to grab one from Mark Normandin,
Better not be Narc Normandan.
who skeets out. Framber Valdez said he didn't hit his catcher in the chest with a 93-mile-an-hour fastball on purpose. And hey, maybe not, but you should probably not have a look on your face afterward that suggests that you did it on purpose and would do it again if that's the case. Yeah, that was an ugly. That was not a good look.
Look, Framber Valdez was just trying to keep with the pace of play and just ensure that there wasn't a pitch clock violation.
He had murder in his eyes when
Yeah,
he turned around.
I still find it funny that Anthony Volpe let a fastball at 93 miles per hour go right down the middle of the plate.
Yeah, good times. Scotty, did he do it on purpose?
Oh, probably.
And as not Narc Normandin would say, would he do it again?
Probably.
Okay. All right. What else is going on in Birdland
This next skeet comes from Matt Taylor at Roar from 34. Skeet goes as follows. Episode 2 of I Was There is now available. Listen to my interview with half of the dynamic podcasting duo known as Bird's Eye VBL. Yeah, don't follow those guys. Jake English discusses being in the Camden Yards press box the night the Orioles clinched the 2014 AL East title. This episode title was, Does Tonight Feel Like a Night for Following the Rules?
No night ever does. But I will tell you, I have been waiting for a long time for Matt Taylor to start a podcast.
Good.
He is a person who, as you know, I enjoy talking to, I enjoy hearing from. And Scotty,
I've heard that.
I will admit that we, and me in particular, we have made a terrible error of missing our Matt Taylor report in spring training for probably the last 2 years.
So the Matt Taylor watch?
Yeah. So boy, you are feeling the nostalgia this evening. So I'm putting it out there right now. We'll have him back in February, but episode 2 is obviously the low point of his new show. But I really enjoyed his discussion with his dad on episode 1. I'm really looking forward to see what he's got going on for episode 3 and beyond. And listen, if you enjoy anything about this show, you will way more enjoy I Was There.
And again, you might want to skip episode 3 because I'm appearing on episode 3 talking about the 21-31 game. But yeah, just skip right past that.
Man, that's too much bird's eye view.
That's why I told him that. I was like, this was an unfortunate standpoint that you included us back to back.
Or just at all.
Or he's just trying to get into the shtick game like us. It's all good.
All right, next we've got a skeet from DeJaniel Sanchez, which I enjoy. There's not much reason to keep Sagano in the rotation in September other than deference to his legacy and preserving good relationships in Japan, which, fair. But Scott, I'll ask you, is that a good enough reason?
I don't think there's really much to be lost here keeping him in the rotation. He's okay-ish. I don't think he's any worse than a Kate Povich. And I understand that Kate Povich has a longer window and it's more interesting for you to watch, but he's just eating up innings at this point, and I'm okay with that.
In this incredibly competitive season of 2025?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Next ski comes from Jen Ramos Eisen. You can follow them at Jen Ramos. Ski goes as follows. Oh, this is cursed as S.
Oh, you bad boy.
The Oakland Ballers to host first ever AI-controlled professional baseball game on September 6th. The Oakland Ballers will host the first AI-controlled professional baseball game in history in partnership with Distillery, a leading nearshore offshore development company. The Ballers will hand over every strategic game day decision, lineup, substitution, and plays to an AI-powered system built specifically for this groundbreaking show. Okay, I've seen this before. This is how Skynet begins.
I saw this, And I thought to myself, okay, whatever they're going to do at Aberdeen next season, this is the kind of stuff we have to look forward to. Because it's not going to be real baseball, right? It's not going to be professional, interesting baseball. It's going to be all going to be about the events. It's all going to be about the entertainment. I'm really hoping that we'll get to go and watch the robots decide what happens in a baseball game.
You know what? Maybe the Athletics made the right decision. No, I'm serious. Like, I understand what the Ballers are doing here. They're trying to raise up curiosity, create some buzz.
This is Cowboy Monkey Rodeo with servers.
This is Cowboy Monkey Rodeo with ChatGPT and memes and stuff like that. It's fine. Not a super fan. However, this gives ideas for the future of, Mike Elias, your next manager could just be an AI chatbot.
Are you sure the current one is not?
He may be. Based off of current language models.
They're not that large.
No.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we will go around the bases. All right, let's go ahead and get started at first base. And Scott, it is not a farewell to arms. It is a greeting to arms. It is a welcoming to arms. It is a hello, arms.
Calvary, Calvary.
All right, since we were together here on these airwaves for episode 415, we have seen the return of 3 long-awaited Orioles pitchers.
Well, 2 or 3 maybe?
Hey, 2 out of 3 is not bad.
Yeah.
We did see Big Al Suarez come back, and I'm just going to say it. I think that Big Al Suarez can be useful in a bullpen. When you look at some of the guys who have faltered over the last couple years, I'm thinking your Cionel Perez's, I'm thinking your Yennier Cano's. I think that Big Al has the ability to eat up some innings and be effective in 1 to 2.2 innings at a time, and there's room for that in a bullpen. He just has to not suck.
He certainly deserves to come back next year, try for spring training, see what happens. He's got the whole offseason to, work with the pitching lab as a relief pitcher. And
the AI chatbot.
The AI chatbot. Yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with it. We'll see what happens. I could see him easily being designated for assignment at the very beginning of next season. But as a body to throw potentially into a wide open pen, I don't have an issue with it right now.
I'm rooting for him. I think it's, like you said, I think it's unlikely he pitches for the Orioles next season, but
I'll give it a 25% chance.
Okay. There were some pitchers I actually was interested in seeing, and let's do this in reverse order. Tyler Wells pitched. He started, and it was really great to see.
Yeah.
I am furious that the Orioles have him starting. I think it's dumb, but regardless of how dumb I thought it was really great to see him pitch, and he was effective.
He was effective. He was happy. Everything was good. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I just hope the Orioles don't get misconceptions that he needs to be in the rotation for next year.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about this ad nauseum, all off season, but they've got to go out and do something, and that something can't be Tyler Wells.
No.
We all deserve better than that, as does Tyler Wells.
Right. He's 31 years old. He may not look 31 years old. He looks like a young spring kitten, but he is 31 years old and has never pitched more than 110 innings in a season.
He might be 31, but the pieces holding his arm together is like
brand new.
It's a toddler.
Yeah, like brand new.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, but we're bearing the lead here. Kyle Bradish is back.
Yeah.
And let me ask you.
Yeah.
Is Kyle Bradish back?
I think so. I mean, I think we've seen him pitch now, and I think we've seen velocity go up and down. I think we've seen him get some decent K rate. I think we've also seen him be a little effectively wild and not having command. But I think we've seen him pitch, and I think he's getting a feel for his command once again. Everything that I see from Kyle Bradish is exactly what I would expect for someone coming back from Tommy John in his first month. I think him having this entire offseason to continue to rehab and get ready, this is perfect timing for him. Like I said, I've been very pleased with Kyle Bradish to this point.
The nice thing is that he doesn't have anything to prove in this season.
Right.
There's no pressure for what this season needs to be. All he needs to do is get back to whatever it is that he's going to be.
Let's get a feel for things. Let's get a feel for command and breaking balls. And like I said, the velocity looks okay. Like I said, that first game he came out, he was throwing at 97, 98 in that first inning. That's dropped off after, games. And there was a few, I think in that second game, I think he was like throwing 93. But again, if he's able to come out and continually throw at 95 to 96 like he did in his last start, I think it's going to be fine overall. But I think it's building up stamina, building up a feel for your pitches, being able to hit the corners like he used to. But the movement is still there for the pitches. And if the velocity and the movement are still there, then the stuff is still there, and I'm excited.
That was the thing that struck me in that first game, which was that as the innings went on, he did tire and the velocity ticked down, but the movement made him remain effective.
Correct.
And so I got to thinking about it. I was like, maybe Kyle Bradish comes back and he's just back, right? Maybe I'm making too much of it. But also, maybe if he has to reach back for 97 in a way that he didn't used to have to do in the past, he's still effective throwing at 93, 94, usually with touches of the real heat because of that movement. From what I saw in that one small sample size of a start, that's going to be what I'm going to be looking for the rest of the season.
I'm looking at talent and stuff, and again, the talent and stuff looks like there. He's got some time to figure it out before next season. But I'm not saying he's back, but certainly he looks really good in comparison for his first month.
All right, well, let's continue to watch, but let's head over to second base. And, Scott, I mentioned last time we were together that I was in a bit of a fender bender, and so I've been going to some PT, and one of the questions...
Jake, on a pain scale, are you a 1 or are you a 10?
This is exactly the question.
And where does it hurt? Touch on the doll.
I knew it was coming.
Touch on the doll where it hurts.
I couldn't make it stop. But I do want to...
Phrasing.
I do want to look at that pain measure, right? And ask how worried I should be about some stuff.
Okay. So 1 is no pain, 10 is excruciating pain.
Exactly.
Okay. So 10 is I'm going to light myself on fire on the mound.
Okay. 1, no, I can scale this.
Okay.
1 is regular season game that's not important.
Okay.
The Orioles win and you're leaving
the
ballpark. 10 is you're watching a 10-year-old Kansas City fan celebrate an ALCS victory sitting next to you at Camden Yards in 2014.
Okay.
All right, that's the scale.
All right.
You with me?
Yeah, I'm calibrated.
I watched some of the series in San Diego, which very fun, but there was a game that made me think critically about Dylan Beaver as a defensive baseball player who stands in the outfield with a glove.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, as we've just calibrated, how do I need to feel about Dylan Beavers as a defensive player?
I'm going to go with a solid 3.
Okay.
I think it's something to be worried about. You're watching him out there, playing, and the first step isn't great. He doesn't cover a tremendous amount of distance, even though he's a very fast individual. But I don't think it's as bad as we've seen it. I mean, he's misplayed balls have dropped in between him, but I don't think it's as terrible. He also had a nice sliding catch at the end of the game. I'm going to give it a 3. I think he's working through Major League Baseball and figuring it out, but I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be.
Okay. All right. Next question. Again, scale of 1 to 10. How do I need to feel about Jackson Holliday as a base stealer?
My pain scale for this one is a 6. A little bit more concerned about this one. You get him thrown out at about a 50% pace. That's pretty bad. So I think there has to be a serious conversation with Jackson Holliday of, hey, maybe you're not a base stealer.
I think that conversation may need to have a rolled up newspaper and his nose rubbed in it.
Listen, I'm willing to give the shot with some new coaching staff, but it certainly looks like when Jackson Holliday is on the base path, he can't read pitchers very well.
So I'm just a dumb guy with a podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to explain this to me. You can use crayon if you need to. Is it a matter of his foot speed? Is it a matter of his reads? Is it a matter of him being sent in situations that are not advantageous to him? Is it him, seeing lefties on a more regular basis than he did in the minors? Is it all of the above, or does he just suck?
So I think the speed's okay. I think he had, last time I checked, I think he was like a 29 mile per hour speed. So that's not elite, but it's certainly good enough. When I watch him off the bag, it doesn't seem like he's getting a very terribly large lead. And then he's gotten picked off numerous times this season, which is extremely frustrating. And then again, when he does go, it doesn't seem like he gets a great jump. So again, this comes back to just because someone's fast, does that mean they're a great base stealer? I look at Jackson Holliday and I'm like, you are a very athletic individual. You have good speed on the base path. Stretching for an extra base may not be your forte at this given point. And it's weird too, because
More
like
of a station-to-station guy.
you look at Gunnar and you look at Holliday, both those guys look similar from a speed standpoint, but Gunnar's just so much better at stealing bases than Jackson Holliday. So there has to be something here with a technique that potentially could be picked up.
Is it possible, though, that for Gunnar Henderson, he's fueled by the rage of having been walked in the first place?
Or playing against the Red Sox.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Again, same 1 to 10 scale for how painful this is. Where do I need to be on the now somewhat better documented ability for Adley Rutschman to stay healthy for an entire season?
Jake, I'm at a 1 on this one.
Scott, it's 2025. Do you know what year it is? Have you been paying attention?
I have, but I'm bullish on Adley. Like, I think he is going to come back next year. I think with Sammy Basayo potentially taking some additional games behind catcher for him, I think Adley is going to catch, but I think we might see Adley behind the plate 3-4 times per week. And then I think we'll see Sammy Basayo behind the plate 3 to no more than 4 times per week. I think it'll be a pretty equal split. And I think we'll see Adley in the DH position. I think we'll see Adley having to move into first base and see how it goes. I don't know. I'm not that concerned about Adley going forward because I think getting him away from the plate as much as he's been is going to be beneficial for him.
First of all, how can we even find room at first base on a team like this for a guy like Adley Rutschman?
You're right. We've got Kobe Mayo. What else could we do?
Can I tell you why I am not at a 1
Okay.
for Adley Rutschman? Because
he's the oldest Oriole on the team.
whatever the number is that we land on,
Sure.
1, 3, 7, doesn't matter. It is likely that as soon as Adley Rutschman is no longer an Oriole, that next season he's going to play 158 games.
Mhm.
And the season after that, it's going to be 147.
Mhm.
And the season after that, it's going to be 150 again. It is us. Scott, the problem is that he plays in orange and black and not in San Francisco. The problem is the dark clouds directly over top of that beautiful stadium in Baltimore.
We'll see. We'll see.
We will indeed. Next on the pain scale, from a 1 to a 10, where do I need to be on the prospect or likelihood, I guess, of Jorge Mateo, freshly returned, getting playing time, getting significant playing time, meaningful playing time enough to rob it from other more interesting players we want to see?
So I'm going to do this in classic bird's eye view tradition. I'm going to go ahead and go off the scale. So this is not a pain standpoint. This is more like when you're in the hospital and they ask you on a scale of nausea, where do you feel? And it's the green face that looks like you're about to throw up. That's where I feel with Jorge Mateo seeing meaningful playing time. Why? Why does he need to see meaningful playing time? Number one, you've got Jeremiah Jackson, who's supposed to potentially be your utility infielder, who's hitting the cover off the ball right now. And then number two, we've already demonstrated that Jorge Mateo is not an outfielder. You're not going to want to keep him as a fourth or fifth outfielder next year. I understand that you're maybe like, hey, we want to give Jorge a shot so that he can, showcase his talent and maybe someone picks him up. But why are we doing this? If the Orioles really wanted to do this and pay it forward to Jorge, they should have cut him before September 1st and seen if some playoff team wanted to pick him up as a pinch runner on a playoff roster. My guess is no playoff team would have done that, but I think that would have been the potentially considerate thing to do. Instead, what's going to happen is we're going to get to this offseason. Jorge Mateo has an option. The Orioles are obviously not going to tender that option because I think it's for $6 million. And then Jorge Mateo is going to basically have to figure out, is he done in Major League Baseball? Is someone willing to pick him up for a league minimum? But Jorge Mateo should not be playing on this 26-man roster next year.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
And again, I got nothing against Jorge Mateo. It just doesn't fit.
I love Mi Hermano, but it just doesn't fit anymore with the current roster.
All right. Again, scale of 1 to 10. Where do I need to be on my pain for the upcoming probable regression of Trevor Rogers as a Major League pitcher?
4. You know it's coming. There's no way that he's going to pitch at a sub-2 ERA. But at the same point, there's a lot of good peripherals. So I think you just say it's going to regress. The regression is going to be tough. But at the end of the day, over a long enough sample size, it still looks like a good quality of work.
2 more very quick hits here. Scale of 1 to 10. What is the pain measure for the current Baltimore Orioles managerial situation?
10. 10. Absolutely 10 with an exclamation point. Give me the morphine drip ASAP.
So the kid is celebrating right next to you.
Absolutely.
That's rough. And
Tony Manzolino is that little kid, that little Kansas City Royals fan.
And then
Calling for a balk after they just went ahead in the 8th inning.
that was such
From
such
300 feet away.
it was such a brutal game. We were in section 7 that night, right?
We were in section 7
Awful.
in like the back row, almost one of the back rows, underneath the overhang. And the kid and the dad had the audacity from section 7 to say, oh, that was a balk after they just got the go-ahead run in a visiting stadium in a playoff.
I have never seen Scott so nearly strike a child. All right, last question on the pain scale.
At least that kid has seen a World Series.
Oh, jeez. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are we for the perspective of a new manager in Baltimore? What do you think you're going to... Basically, what do you think your satisfaction is going to be with whatever solution comes to Baltimore next year?
8?
In pain?
Yeah.
So you were not expecting to be satisfied.
No, I'm not. I am expecting bad things. I'm not happy. We'll see. Maybe I'll be surprised, but I'm expecting more of the same.
Fantabulous.
Yeah.
All right, let's head over to third base. I want to discuss something a little rosier.
Sure.
A little happier. We do Fantasy Boss every week here on this very program, and I would like to continue to fantasize.
I'm going to go close my eyes really quickly. Go ahead.
Fantasy football has started, right?
Yeah.
I would like to fantasize about all the good things that could possibly happen to the Baltimore Orioles next year. And so I'd like to start by building our fantasy rotation
Okay.
of 2026. What do we want the 2026 rotation to look like? And obviously I think that you and I are probably going to come up with a solution that has some free agents involved.
Sure.
But I would just like to point out that in the 2026 free agent class, there is an all former Oriole rotation
Really?
to be had out there.
Okay.
Here's my all Oriole 2026 free agent rotation.
Okay.
We got the ace, Zach Eflin, followed up by Jack Flaherty.
He actually may be your ace, if in all honesty.
Well, after Eflin lands in the IL, he certainly will be. You have Alex Cobb
Okay.
out there looking for a job. You have John Means
Okay.
as your number 4. And the reason he's number 4 is because he's certainly going to push up higher than Sagano, who's going to be out there. And I do have an honorable mention. Has to be an honorable mention out of the rotation into the bullpen, into this fantasy all Orioles, former Orioles bullpen, because for us, he was there, and that is Nestor Cortez.
I like it.
I mean, we could have quite
You could.
the series of memories.
You could.
What does the top of your fantasy rotation look like?
Right now, it's still Framber Valdez, even with the incident this week.
I was really hoping that you'd say that because I want to ask you why.
Because he's still a top 20 Major League Baseball player. He's probably the best pitcher going to be on the market this offseason.
Do you think that it's likely that there is some baggage to come along with that talent?
I would say that any Major League Baseball player that you are signing under free agency is probably coming along with baggage.
Fair.
Yeah.
I really do kind of worry that this guy is going to go cut up the uniforms like Chris Sale. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Chris Sale's pretty good as well.
I know.
I think that's something that we have to think about as well from the bullpen. You kind of need people that are insane to go out there and be insane on the field.
Yeah, but this is also a team that I think is lacking a little bit in...
John Means, really nice guy.
Yeah, sure. But lacking in core identity, right? And like last time we got together, we talked about leadership and whether enough of it was here. And so I just worry about bringing in the crazy and then having the crazy dominate the
Jake, this
clubhouse.
is a team that still plays the Delman Young double every single game. And we're talking about, let's be careful of the crazy.
That is a difficult point to argue.
Yeah.
It's a difficult point to argue. I guess the only counter that I could possibly have is, at what cost?
I mean, again,
But it's not a great argument.
it's not a great argument. It's a standpoint of like, yes, you're right. He's got some issues. He obviously has issues in terms of maintaining composure, especially when things get difficult. But you know what solves that?
Winning.
No, a good hug. And what kind of catcher out there in Major League Baseball does a great job with hugging it out? Adley Rutschman.
When he's healthy, sure.
Absolutely. Well, he can always come out, if he's not healthy, and, just give a hug on the mound and then head back to the dugout.
Designated hugger.
Like a designated hugger.
Can you imagine, though, him throwing at Adley? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So, Valdez, still your top guy.
No doubt.
That's okay. On the subject of top men, mine is Dylan Cease. And I think
4.5 ERA.
Yeah, I think the bloom has definitely begun to come off that rose. Particularly, I've seen a lot, where people are talking about the fact that he just can't handle the rest of the AL East.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is still a long-term net positive.
I'm going to come back and ask you the question that I always ask. Game 1, playoffs, ALCS. Who do you want pitching?
Him over the rest of the guys that we got?
If you had to choose between Framber Valdez and Dylan Cease, who do you want pitching in ALCS game number 1?
Yeah, definitely Valdez.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Completely agree. But I want someone who have those moments that he's had before with being from the Astros. And again, I'm not upset with a little bit of crazy.
Okay. I mean, I can accept that answer as long as you don't think that any degree of crazy, not just him, anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any degree of crazy won't keep you from getting to that game 1. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I understand. It can't be so detrimental that it destroys the rest of the team.
And I don't think what we saw that one day rises to that level.
Sure.
All right, my number 2 for my fantasy rotation is Kyle Bradish. I think that in this fantasy world of mine, he comes back to be good enough to be a number 2 guy. As you say, who do you want on game 2 then?
Sure.
I want it to be a good Kyle Bradish.
Sure. My number 2 is going to be Sandy Alcantara.
Oh, you were spending a lot of fantasy money.
I am spending a lot of fantasy money. Again, Marlins are looking for prospects. You've got Kobe Mayo, who is on the cheap.
I thought you said prospects.
He's still he's on the prospect list, but again, he's young and he's under team control for a long period of time. You've got a bunch of players that you just recently traded for this trade deadline. I think the Orioles should go out and make a big splash and say, what's it going to take? We'll give you Kobe Mayo and we'll give you some folks that are either in that kind of 90th slot or right on the verge. If they came back and they said, I want Kobe Mayo and I want Nate George and I want another prospect, done. Yes, I'd be upset about losing Nate George, but I'd be like, nope, let's do it. If they came back and said, we want Kobe Mayo and we want Ike Irish and another prospect, done. Let's do it. Let's do it immediately. So I think people mentioned this at the trade deadline. They didn't get someone for 2026. Yes, but they got a lot of prospects that are, I would say, in that 80 to 200 range that they can stack up and potentially put together a sweet package for a trade candidate.
They got commodities.
Yeah. And pretty high value commodities as well. I would really look strongly at Sandy Alcantara. Again, individual that was coming off of Tommy John, individual who I think would pair up really well with Sammy Basayo, and an individual, again, who is, I wouldn't say a veteran presence, but again, someone that can kind of play that role within a rotation.
All right, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is going to be Shane Bieber.
You are spending all the fantasy money, and I love this. Okay.
So I think Shane Bieber, traded from the Guardians to the Blue Jays, we have seen Shane Bieber come back through and start pitching again for the Blue Jays and just be absolutely in fuego. So I think he's going to have to sign a pillowish contract in order to have a prove me deal. So I think you're probably only getting Bieber for 1 year, and he's probably opting out immediately afterwards. But I would love to see Shane Bieber in the rotation as the Orioles continue to try to figure out who potentially could take a spot in the top of the rotation with Bradish in the future.
So as far as your number 3 spot, you are a believer.
I am.
I regret nothing. My number 3 spot is going to go to Trevor Rogers, the greatest pitcher to ever live. Apparently, I assume that nothing is going to change, and next season he's just going to be as good, if not better, than he is now. Everything will go great.
Yep. Yeah, that's a possibility. And, I guess I'll finish mine up because it's obvious. My 4 and 5 are Bradish and Rogers. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. I want both of those guys in my rotation. And I can see Bradish being a number 2 or a number 3. There's no doubt about it. he can't be my number one going into next year.
No way.
He can't be. I love Kyle Bradish. I love Trevor Rogers right now. But both those guys are at best 2s and 3s. If I'm slotting them into the slot of 3, 4, and 5, for example, I think that gives a lot of buffer that if there's an injury, just like we saw this year, slotting people up and then filling in with folks like Cave Purvich or a Brandon Young, a Tyler Wells if you have to. I think that makes sense in terms of being a 6, 7, 8, as opposed to being like, who the heck are we going to get here? And do we need to go get a Charlie Morton? So it's super aggressive. It's you're absolutely right. It's fantasy baseball, but it's really not that outlandish. If you think Valdez is going to get paid $35 to $40 million per year. I think Bieber is probably going to get 25 to 30. So right there, that's 70 million, give or take, 70 to 75 million. The Orioles have money to play with. So if they're not going to go out and get a big position player, and they're not going to go out and get a big closer, where else are you spending money? Your arbitration raises and stuff like that are going to be money, but you got money to play with.
Have you lost your mind?
I have.
The Orioles just made a huge commitment to Samuel Basallo.
They did.
We can't go throwing money around now that we have one guy under contract.
Yeah, for $1 million next year. Yeah.
My fantasy rotation continues at number 4, and I got to tell you, it's a little Verlander-esque.
Okay.
In my fantasy situation, the 4th slot goes to Justin Verlander, who comes in to teach these young scrappy players how to win.
Jesus Christ.
A guy who's been there, a guy who knows the playoffs, a guy who whatever.
You could have any pitcher available and you go with Justin Verlander.
And then my number 5 in this fantasy situation goes to Dean Kramer, who I think is good enough to be a number 5 in a real baseball club. You know, even if that means that he doesn't necessarily get rostered on the first round of the playoffs or what have you, I think it's fine.
I didn't mention Dean Kramer in my rotation. I think Dean Kramer is a really interesting case. He's obviously having a great year this year. He's an innings eater. I love innings eaters. Love them. So I think Dean Kramer is certainly a super valuable commodity. I'd be interested in floating Kramer's name out there and just seeing what would people be willing to offer for Kramer and just see what could come back. Specifically for the bullpen would be an area that I'd be looking at. But I love Kramer. If Kramer is my number 5, I'm super happy. But if we're in fantasy land, I would love to see the Orioles go out and get at least 2 of the names that I mentioned at that top of the rotation to really bolster it. And if Kramer goes into that 5th slot because they didn't get all 3, that's okay with me.
Here's an observation.
Sure.
Neither one of us mentioned Grayson Rodriguez.
I don't think Grayson Rodriguez should be in the starting rotation next year. I think Grayson Rodriguez should work out of the bullpen next year. I don't think it's an argument. It's you put him in a role of being like, hey, Grayson, you didn't pitch it all last year. We're going to need you to build innings up. We want you to be in the bullpen. We might have you be an opener in some instances, but we want you to be an individual that's going to come out and be a relief arm out of the pen, not every day, but maybe every other day or every 3 days for 2 innings plus.
I'm contractually obligated to ask the question. Mm-hmm. Can he close ball games?
I think he can. I think he would be my preferential closer. I think he's got, again, coming back to the Framber point, I think he's got the craziness factor. I think he gets adrenaline. He gets pumped up. I think he could be an elite closer. And then the stuff is there. Closers are defined by, can you get strikeouts? And do you have stuff? And when we talk about stuff, it's that velocity and movement. Mm-hmm. When I say stuff, it's an actual metric. I think Grayson is currently at 104 stuff plus off the top of my head. You're going to go up as a reliever. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to be a Mason Miller, but he could easily be a top 10 closer in Major League Baseball, in my opinion.
We've got holes in the bullpen coming up, and we've got pieces that we can plug there. I look at guys like Grayson Rodriguez and Tyler Wells as being parts of a really scary back of the rotation, back of the bullpen.
I also say that Kramer, I think, could do a really good job as a back of the bullpen / closer. Like, I think he's got a similar bulldog mentality to get it done. So I think you've got some individuals there that got some filth, got some good pitches. And if you spend in free agency to get some starting pitchers, you may be able to push some of these individuals that are good starters but maybe could have another role. But for me, I would put Grace in the bullpen, and I would work towards getting him to be the closer at some point in 2026. And then hopefully he's okay with that. But I think it makes a ton of sense.
Hear, hear. All right, well, let's slide into home plate. And I want to talk a little bit about meaningless games in September.
Woo!
You know, the Orioles this season proved that age-old adage that you can't win a pennant in April, but you certainly can lose it. And not only did they lose it in April, but then they continued in May to
They put an asterisk on it.
also lose it. And look, the season was basically a wreck from the start, and that means that they're going to be going through the motions for the rest of the season until it's time to hit the golf course.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. But I will say that it's a shame that they performed poorly in August. I think it's a shame because you look at how the team did in June, finally righted the ship. They had a winning month. I know that it's just a
Arbitrary number. Or
but
arbitrary sample size.
right, they were 16 and 11 in the month of June, and then followed that up in July.
600 winning percentage?
593.
Okay.
593 is what the maths say.
That'll play for a playoff spot
Sure.
for 1 month.
And then after that, they went basically 500 at 13 and 12 in July. Again, just
Again, I'm
better baseball.
not upset by that at all. If I look at that June and July period, I'm like, all right, that's close to a playoff team with a lot of pieces that were moving around and a lot of uncertainty with that team.
But there were parts of August that did feel like a free fall.
Oh, totally.
And I know that it's difficult as a sports fan, particularly in a game like baseball where you have constant input to not overreact to a small sample size. But there were moments in August where I was like, man, am I going to zoom out and find ourselves at 4-32? Like it did feel that way for a little while.
It just wasn't losing. It was bad baseball losing. Yeah. It was just no hitting or losing consistently 1-1 games or blowing games. And it was to be expected with how the trade deadline went. You lost a lot of talent, not just in the lineup, but obviously the bullpen. So I'm not shocked at all with August's record. But you're right. First September series against the Padres was a nice 3-0 sweep, which I would never have predicted.
No.
I think September is going to be bad. I think it's going to be really bad.
You mean playing the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox?
And the Red Sox and the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I mean, we do play the AL East competitively, but I think it's going to be probably a sub 400 month once again.
Good times. The Orioles, by the way, finish their season at home on the 25th of September, which is my father's birthday. But then they have 3 more games at New York.
Yeah.
In the Bronx to finish out the season. And
This season and also next season. Next season, we also finish at the Bronx.
So I ask you, what are you looking forward to for your Curse of the Andino moment? What is the possible moral victory that the Orioles could ride into a successful and not negligent offseason to then go to glory in 2026?
Sure. So I think the most obvious one is in the final game of the season, Kyle Bradish pitches a shutout against the Yankees. Aaron Judge manages to go 0 for 4 in that game. And by doing so, the Yankees are eliminated from the playoffs and the Rays take their position as a wild card team.
Okay. Because we have the ability to get swept by Tampa in those 3 games, but the Tampa series is bound by 2 Yankee series, 1 at home and 1 at their place.
Correct.
So the Orioles, if it's still close, could be that decider.
So we need to win like 5 games against the Yankees, and then we need to get swept by the Rays. And that potentially sets it up for this kind of Andino-esque moment.
All right. Let's track this math in a little bit more of a, I don't want to say possible way, but there are some things that I am looking forward to watch at the end of the season. First and foremost, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Going back to Dark Ages baseball, I'm just glad they're not going to lose 100 games.
Yep.
And I know that's dumb, but it's true. They hit that 63rd win, and I was like, all right, at least we don't have that hanging over our head. But I am looking forward to the Dodgers series, not just because of the things that'll happen on Saturday, which we'll talk about in a second, but they're interesting. They're a fun team. You know, lots of star power.
They're one of the better teams in Major League Baseball, even though their record doesn't display it. And it's a good site because we don't get to see the Dodgers that often to be like, this is a team that you want to kind of model and mirror against. And it's a good way to look at it and say, How are they constructed? How are they playing baseball? Because it's a good way to say that's the way we need to look going into 2026.
Yep. And then Saturday, the 6th, will be the 21-31 celebration. I think there'll be some feels there. I mean, it's 30 years. Crazy.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a nothing burger.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think they can manufacture enough millennial nostalgia to make it work for you?
I think they're going to be pumped the stadium full of 90s music. But no, I don't think this is going to feel like much of anything.
Is it because you won't be 11 or 12 years old again by the time you see him riding around in a red Corvette?
Probably. I don't know. I'm going to the game on Saturday, and I just don't feel like it's going to hit.
I'm thinking about getting tickets for that game. We'll see. After that game, let's decide how little or well it lived up.
Sure.
I do want to see a Baltimore team play games against a team from Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
That'll be fun.
So you're talking Ravens and Steelers?
No, but 'tis the season.
Yeah.
'Tis the season. It'll be a primer of those fan bases to get, little competitive juices flowing.
That'll be bad team versus bad team.
Yes. Wouldn't it be fun if there was a baseball rivalry that went along with the football rivalry between those two cities?
I say you're speaking MLB's mindset right there.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to see them for 3 games.
Yep.
I will be watching for the health and stamina of both Kyle Bradish and Tyler Wells. Again, I'm rooting for them both. I really don't want to see Wells go deep into games.
I want to see stuff from both and just see what each one transpires with. I'm fine with Tyler Wells building up some innings, but man, I really hope that they're not thinking that he's going to be a starter for next year.
We will get to see a hopefully lengthy month-long audition for Jeremiah Jackson.
Dude, it has impressed so far. Been smoking the ball. Absolutely smoking the ball.
Is Jeremiah Jackson less than, equal to, or better than a Jimmy Paredes?
Better.
Okay.
Is he equal, less, or better than a Ramon Urias?
Ramon Urias is dead to me. After what he pulled in Houston, no.
Is he equal, lesser, or better than a Jackson Holiday?
Are you talking about on the base paths?
Por qué no los dos?
Oh, jeez. I will abstain courteously from such questions.
I think it's small sample size, but the exit velocity is very impressive. He hits the ball really hard. It sounds really good. He's hitting it to all fields. There's a lot to like about Jeremiah Jackson. And if he can play all the positions, cool.
I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of what he can do for the season. I want him to be back in Baltimore next year.
He'll be back in Baltimore.
Absolutely a spot for him on this team. I do want to see one change.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to get a real jersey number.
I agree.
Has to fix it.
Yeah.
And then the last thing that I'm looking for will be to see 2 guys thrust into starting roles so that we can get a long look at what that looks like. Mm-hmm. And that is Colton Cowser as a center fielder, an everyday center fielder, and Samuel Basayo as the starting catcher for the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, I mean, I think Basayo, as much as I'm disappointed that Adley got hurt, I think Basayo has been now thrust into the role probably faster than the Orioles would have liked. And I think it's great that we're seeing him behind the plate. It certainly has not been as disastrous as people projected in terms of him being a catcher. I wouldn't say it's great.
Hey, you get what you pay for.
But I also don't think it's terrible. Cowser, again, is not bad in center field. I don't know if I love him in center field, but I don't think it's bad. I would certainly be poking around to see if there is a center fielder out there. One that I would love to have. It is not going to happen because he's got a no trade clause because of being a 10-year veteran. But I think Byron Buxton would be amazing in center field. And again, you're talking about another team that's looking to shed payroll. If you're looking to trade prospects, putting Buxton in center field and moving Cowser back to left field makes all the sense in the world for this team. But again, it's not going to happen. He's going to veto it. He said he wants to stay in Minneapolis. But man, I would love to have a Buxton. And again, coming back to the starters, like I didn't pull this guy's name out. If you could pull off a trade for Buxton and Pablo Lopez, sign me up. Let's do it.
The only thing I'll say about Cowser in center is that I feel a lot better about Cowser in center if they spend money elsewhere.
I agree. Exactly.
If we have to deal with Cowser in center as a defensive center fielder because they spent in the rotation, great.
Yeah.
But if they don't,
right. Yeah. What are we doing here?
Right. Yeah. Right. Is there anything else worth watching at the end of this season? We've got a month for them to not impress us. What are we doing with our time here?
I still think there's a lot of really interesting battles currently in the bullpen. I mean, we talked about Rico Garcia, but I think Rico Garcia is an interesting one to kind of keep an eye on. Yenier Cano came out last night I should say yesterday afternoon, was showcasing a new changeup. Let's see if that still remains as consistent as it is and see if Cano can redeem an absolutely awful, terrible season. But I think that's what you're going to want to see. You're going to want to see, like, does a Chase McDermott come up from Norfolk, who's been having some great success out of the bullpen in Norfolk? Does he get a chance to showcase a little bit in the majors to say, hey, I want a spot in the bullpen? But I think you're trying to figure out, you traded away a lot of players at the trade deadline from your bullpen. I think it would be very beneficial for the Orioles to walk away from the end of September and say, okay, we have 2 positions to fill, 2 or less positions to fill in the bullpen. That's not so bad, as opposed to being like, we need to be waiver wire hunting and looking for people in the bullpen to fill 4 spots.
Is Dietrich Enns a real thing, or is he the Chaz Rowe this year?
I think he's the Chaz Rowe. I don't mind him, but I think he's the Chaz Rowe. He's not bad, but I don't think he's shown me enough, if that makes sense.
Fair. That's fair.
I like him, just not quite enough.
Fair. All right, so we have gone around the bases. Let's take a quick break, come back, and get into Fantasy Boss. What is this music?
Really, we've heard this in this year?
That's the name I haven't heard in a long time. So Scotty took this week's Fantasy Boss, bringing the second half to a 2-1 score. Now, we do have to pull the curtain back here a little bit. We recorded our last podcast on the 21st, 22nd, and didn't get published until that following Sunday. And so
what happened with that?
Doesn't matter.
Details.
Doesn't matter.
Details.
Some idiot was left to edit the podcast. But I ran the stats from the wrong date. And from the 25th forward, your guy, Dean Kramer, had a single strikeout.
Yeah, that was a bad start for him.
Whereas my guy, Rico Garcia, had 4 strikeouts.
Good for him.
And I thought, oh my God.
We're doing this again.
Not again.
Yeah.
This is crazy. But then I realized the mistake, ran the numbers back to where they belong. Dean Kramer, 5 Ks. Just eked it out.
That one start really helped me.
It really did. And so we are here to do it again.
Okay.
Scotty, we can do nothing. We can do nothing else besides dongs. We just had the opportunity for Dongs After Dark. These are going to be home dongs, homegrown dongs.
Homegrown dongs.
And so I ask you, Scotty, who's your favorite donger?
My favorite donger? Oh, well, I think we were just talking about him, but I'm going to go with Mr. Exit Velocity himself, Jeremiah Jackson.
That's a really good answer. I'm upset by how good an answer that is.
I would love to say Ryan Mountcastle. I would love this for him to be his swan song, going off into the offseason and putting it together and making the Orioles make a really tough decision. But I don't think it's going to happen.
So it's funny you say that.
Oh.
Because my pick is Ryan Mountcastle.
I really do hope that Ryan wins this week. I really do. And I'm really pulling for him. He's in a really bad position right now of being like, hey, we have to keep you on the team, but we really don't want you out there playing first base because we're trying to get Mayo practice. But yeah, here's to Ryan Mountcastle. Hopefully he figures it out. And he's still hitting some clutch hits here and there. But man, the lack of home runs is just mind-boggling to me at this point.
Brutality.
Yeah.
My original category for this week was going to be who hits more home runs over Baltimore, the Orioles or the opponents.
Can I have a wild card thrown into this standpoint?
Absolutely, you
can we do an end of stat category potentially?
Sure.
So I'm just pulling it up to make sure that I'm correct about this. So, all right. So for dongs, can we do a end of season dongs? Who will have more, Ryan Mountcastle or Alex Jackson?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think that's a very easy answer.
Both of them have 5 home runs.
Okay. Who are you taking? I will let you select.
I mean, I'm going to take Ryan Mountcastle because I want him to win, and I want that feel-good story.
Yeah, here's the thing, though. I feel like that's the right answer because of the number of at-bats he's going to get.
I feel like Alex Jackson, though, has the clutch gene.
Yes, I feel like the magic resides in Alex Jackson's bat.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Numerically, Ryan Mountcastle's got that. He's going to get more plate appearances. He's going to get to play every single game. He's absolutely going to hit more home runs than Alex Jackson. Yet Alex Jackson continues to come up and hit the most improbable home runs. And they're both tied on the season. Whereas, people were talking about the wall moving in this season, and we were like, Ryan Mountcastle's easily going to get back to 30 home runs. And I know he's been injured, but there hasn't been any even like ones that are like, that was close.
All right. So end of season dongs, Alex Jackson.
Wild card.
Action Jackson.
Action
Or
Jackson.
the Mountie.
Yeah. And I'm taking the Mountie and you're taking Action Jackson.
All right. All right. I'm left with Jackson.
You're left with Jackson. I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson.
All right. So that is Fantasy Boss this week. Let's step aside, come back, and when we do, we'll find out who's good, who's bad, and what was ugly. Yes, it is time for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Scotty, my good this week is going to go to the feels. There were some really good feels this week, and I'm specifically just going to go to the emotional highs that Orioles fan could finally plug into seeing Bradish and Wells return. Particularly watching Wells and his push down emotions that he was obviously experiencing. It was just great to see those guys and to see those guys pitch well for a season where so little has gone right in a meaningless to the full story way. It just felt good to have those guys back. So my good is the feels.
Jake, my good goes to, I gotta say it, I love Beavers.
Say more.
That's all I have to say. I love Beavers because Dylan Beavers has just been absolutely great since coming up for this team. Over the past 14 days, 324 average, 419 on base percentage, good for a 157 weighted runs created plus. He's been an on base machine. 14% walk rate as well. K rate's at 25%, which is a little high, but again, I've been super impressed with him. I think he's got some great plate discipline. He's been spreading the ball. After seeing so many rookies come up and struggle, I've really enjoyed seeing Dylan Beavers come up and really thrive. It's in September and in August so far. So Dylan Beavers gets my good for the week in Orioles baseball.
Absolutely.
So I can't get you the shirt that says I love Beavers?
You can.
Okay.
You can. So you say that young players should be exciting.
They should be.
Young players that are well regarded should come up and do well.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my bad is going to go to not that, and that would be Kobe Mayo. Since the last time we graced your ear holes, dear listener, Kobe Mayo has a 53 weighted runs created plus with a 34.8 K percentage against just a 10.9 for walks. Here's the thing. I don't need him to even be close to the Mendoza line. I need him to start getting close to the Menudo line. He is not in any way, shape, or form been a valuable baseball player. And he's been given every opportunity and will be for the next month. But this last week, not good.
I'm doubling down on you. Kobe Mayo is my bad right now for this team. And there's a lot of bad baseball, but again, a prime opportunity to really, cement himself and give a position certainty going forward into 2026. And Kobe Mayo has done nothing of the sort. He's currently batting a 52 weighted runs created plus over the past 14 days with a 240 on base percentage. Look, defensively, he's improving every game. I wouldn't say he's great, but he's improving. But the plate appearances and the plate decisions and the swing peripherals just look really horrific. I would say it's Kjerstad-esque. Kobe Mayo has been bad lately.
Oof. All right, and then my ugly for this week is going to go to the reminders. Specifically, I'm talking about the reminders of former Orioles that the Birds just saw in San Diego. But watching the San Diego Padres play baseball against the Orioles here in 2025, even though the Orioles took all 3 games, you were reminded, oh, we used to have some young, exciting players, not just Manny Machado, not just Ramon Laureano, not just Ryan O'Hearn. That team is fun to watch.
Yep.
Young guys, very talented. That team is going places. That team has a direction. And it was a reminder that at least for this season, the Orioles are not bad. And not only do they have some guys whose back of the jersey we recognize, but the team has an identity that I feel like we do recognize and have sorely missed here in Birdland this year.
Jake, my ugly for the week goes to blackout dates.
Ooh.
So you know what I'm talking about here for season tickets.
I do.
So this upcoming weekend against the Dodgers, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Birdland members are unable to exchange tickets into this weekend series to get games. You have to buy them separately from any package. You may have spent $1,000, $3,000, $15,000. You are unable to say, hey, I'm not able to make the Pirates game next week. I would like to exchange those tickets and then pay you extra money in order to go to this Dodgers game. Nope, we're not going to allow that. We are going to force your hand and attend a weekday game as opposed to a weekend game. Cool, I get it. There's obviously other games going on in September. If I can't make it this weekend, I'll come back in another weekend in September and do that. Well, about that, the Orioles are playing the Yankees not the next weekend, but the weekend of, I believe it's the 18th, 19th, 20th, and 21st. Those games are also blacked out, which means that every single weekend game in September by the Baltimore Orioles is blacked out so that you cannot exchange tickets on a dollar per dollar basis, as they like to say, to get those games. You must spend additional money outside of those games.
Terrible.
Now, it does look like, based off of information that's coming out for next year, maybe the Orioles have learned their lesson from this and they are going to basically just have opening day be a blackout day, which has traditionally been the case. That has been like, you can't put money into opening day. It just seems the Orioles went really heavy handed this year of being like, oh, we're going to black out that Red Sox series. We're going to black out the Yankee series. We're going to block out the Dodgers series in order to force people to spend even more money this year.
And the people that are going to spend that money are not going to be wearing black and orange.
Not going to wear black and orange.
Ugly.
All right. Well, with that, why don't we go ahead and spend some few moments to blow the save.
Scott, it's a delicate time of year for us.
Very delicate.
I'm not talking about baseball.
Tiptoe.
It is a dangerous time of year for you and I.
Yeah.
The kids have gone back to school.
Yeah.
Our teacher spouses have gone back to school.
Baseball widows have gone back to teach the youngins.
So we are just barely hanging on. We need to survive.
To be fair, we're barely hanging on at all points. But this week, especially, we are hanging on.
Which brings me back to baseball. I want to know who scheduled the Orioles for West Coast games on the first week back of school.
That's brutal.
Because we are a thread away from destruction. I don't know about you, but my house is a powder keg waiting to explode because everyone is exhausted as it is, and rightfully so. Everyone deserves to be exhausted and just falling apart. And then we've got to watch West Coast baseball? What is wrong with you schedulers?
I mean, I will point out that your family has gone and seen an Oasis concert this week, and clearly the second greatest band to come out of the UK. You know,
the first being the Monkees.
No, the first being the Rolling Stones, obviously. But yeah, what kind of decision was made there to be like, hey, let's go ahead and put West Coast baseball on the first week of September. Imagine if this was like a competitive season, like you having to watch these games be anxiety filled, but also dealing with this first week of school. You would be dead on the ground right now. Like you would be dead on the ground. You love West Coast baseball, but you'd be like, why did it have to be this week? It could have been any other week, but why this week?
So, Orioles, Major League Baseball. I'm begging you. I'm just begging you. Next year, think of all of us who know teachers, who have kids, who may be related to schools in some way. Have mercy, please.
And to all those teachers, paraeducators, secretaries, custodians, thank you for what you do. And we really do appreciate it.
And that is our show. Remember, you can find this and our entire catalog of indispensable episodes at birdseyeviewbaltimore.com.
Bird's Eye View is available for download or streaming wherever you get your podcast. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcast, YouTube Music, Spotify, and many others. Please remember to rate and review the show. We appreciate the feedback and encourages other people to listen for the first time.
Come and get social with us. You can email us at contact@birdseyeviewbaltimore.com. You can find us all over social media. We've got stuff everywhere, but we are settling in very nicely. Thank you very much. Over on Orioles Blue Sky at Bird's Eye View, BAL. And with that, Baltimore and beyond, I will bid you a sleepy adieu adieu.
Good night, Baltimore. Go to bed a little early, and let's go O's.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.